Hi guys, Richard Tice was invited onto the Laura Kuenssberg show to talk about immigration. First he said that his former boss of the Brexit Party, Nigel Farage, will be furious over the immigration numbers. And then he went on to talk about how British culture, something he poorly defines, will be under threat from immigrants. Interestingly, the name Tice originates either from the Low Countries of Europe or perhaps Germany. So if Richard has a problem with immigrants, he needs to have a look in the mirror first. However, there was a silver lining here. Christina McAnea from the trade union Unison pushed back on his crap. Have a listen to this.
Let me tell you, when Nigel gets back from the jungle, and given all the stuff that he's been eating and drinking, goodness me, he might need a couple of days off, but he will be absolutely furious, as are millions of people up and down the country, about these huge mass immigration numbers that's changing the nature of our country. It's making us poorer financially, and it's making us poorer culturally.
Is he going to come back and try and take your job, Richard?
Well, I've always said I want as much help as possible, but I'm a bit more ambitious. I'd rather like the idea of President Farage. Maybe you could have President Farage and President Trump.
Well,
that'll wind
that's
a
a
few
whole
people
debate,
up.
and I can see, Christina, you're fizzing
when
there.
I hear people saying things like that it will affect our country culturally, and I've heard you say this before, I've heard other people, I've heard Farage say it. I don't even know what that means, because we are a country where people come from all over the world, our background. I'm the grandchild of migrants from Ireland. And my culture is probably very different from yours. I'm trying to say it's an appalling way to turn things into a culture war in this country.
David Cameron, Dame Louise Pacey, they all said that multiculturalism has failed. We should live and operate under one single British culture.
Richard,
there is no one single British culture.
Briefly, and we must move on.
Disagree. But I want you to ask Richard,
I want you to answer this question. What do you mean by saying our culture is?
I think that sense of Britishness, who we are, our heritage, our history, our Christian values and ethos, that is the base of our single British culture, and that's what we want people to unify under. We welcome smart, sensible levels of immigration, but mass immigration, people living in silos, different cultures, is not good for our country.
This is like harking back to the 1940s or 1950s or something.
We must move on, but we will come back to you both at the end of the programme. I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. Okay, what I want to focus on here instead is not on the culture thing, but on what he said at the very beginning. Nigel Farage will be furious. Why the hell should we care about Nigel Farage? Now, what's really worrying about all of this discussion is that Nigel Farage is a case of the tail wagging the dog. Nigel Farage has been setting British policy over the last decade. Why the hell is Nigel Farage setting British policy? And it's not just the Conservative Party who seem to be dancing to his tune, but it seems to be also the Labour Party. Nigel Farage says immigration is too high. The Conservatives say we need to bring down immigration. And now the Labour Party are talking about, well, we also need to bring down immigration. Why? Why is it necessary to bring down immigration? I've said this before. If there are jobs available, people will come to Britain. If those jobs can't be filled by British people. It's logical. If there are no jobs, then people will not migrate there. Now, the racists and bigots will say, well, people are migrating for the benefits. No, they're not. The benefits are not enough to live on. People migrate to improve their lives. If there are jobs available, they will move there. If there are no jobs available, people will not move. It's simple. Why are there jobs available? Well, because of Brexit in one way. Because it ended freedom of movement. It meant Europeans could not take up those jobs. So those jobs remained empty. And now the care sector, the NHS in particular, are crying out for staff. So the government have realised we actually need workers in the NHS and we need workers in the care sector and hospitality. But it seems to be most of the migration is going directly into the NHS and care. So if you bring down the numbers, you're going to put more stress on the NHS and the care sector. You're going to drive up prices because they're going to have to increase their wages. They're going to have to make it more enticing to work there. But there are limits to that. And then if it comes to the care sector, well, the care sector rely on money from the councils. So the councils are going to have to put up council tax in order to cover the cost of social care. So whatever way you cut it, bringing down immigration is going to drive up costs for the council or for the state. But once again, why are we listening to Nigel Farage? Why are the government saying, okay, well, we need to listen to what Nigel Farage has to say on this particular topic? We saw it also with the media. Nigel Farage goes down to the beach with his, as James O'Brien describes as his Fisher-Price binoculars. And then a week later, Sky News, the BBC, ITV, the mainstream media go down to the beach and film migrants crossing the channel. Like, we know that the small boats are insignificant when in regards to the immigration numbers. So why was the focus on that? Because Farage made the focus on that. He decided we're going to talk about immigration. Now, I understand somewhat that the Conservative Party are afraid of Farage because of what's happened with the Brexit Party and they're worried about Reform UK. But even the Labour Party now seem to be talking about bringing down immigration because it's too high. When there are job vacancies, when sectors like the NHS and care, but not just those, are crying out for labour, it's absurd. And it's extremely dangerous that somebody like Farage is able to decide which way the country is moving. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.